Hey everyone, we're going to solve for x on the domain of between 0 and 2 pi. This should just be less than, not equal to. So basically, before we get started, I want to go over this one right here. A lot of times you'll get equations that you have to do that are like this: sine of x plus cosine of x equals 0. And then what you'll have to do is you'll subtract cosine from both sides, and you'll get this, like this. So make sure you know how to do that. Also, you might get sine of x minus cosine of x equals 0. If you get something like that, you would just say sine of x equals cosine of x. All right? And so we're going to work on this one and b, and I added one. This one. All right. So let's get started. We have sine of x equals negative cosine of x. So if we do the other one that I put on the other slide, if I had sine of x equals cosine of x, and if you're just doing it mentally, that means where does y equal x? So basically it's right here. They equal each other. The two coordinates are the same. In this case, we have sine of x equals negative cosine of x. So it means where the coordinates are the same but opposite signs. So that would be here and here. So basically your answer would be 3 pi divided by 4 and 7 pi divided by 4. Now that's just do it mentally, and that's if you really know your unit circle. However, say that you didn't. One of the things you can do is just take your sine of x, just write this equation, and just divide both sides by cosine of x. Now this would equal negative 1, and this equals tan of x. So you get tan of x equals negative 1. Now basically you're doing the same thing. You're determining where your y and your x, because tan is y over x. That's why I'd rather that be a theta. But anyway, your y over x have to be the same number but opposite signs. So basically, kind of doing the same thing, but you can still get the same values, 3 pi over 4 and 7 pi over 4. All right, so the next one is this one. So what I want to do first is write my tan in terms of sine and cosine. So I know this is sine of x divided by cosine of x. Now when I cross multiply, I get sine of x times cosine of x equals sine of x. Now the mistake most students make is they divide both sides by sine, or they cross multiply and put the sign under here and they get 1. And if you do that, you're going to lose solutions. So be careful when you see something like this. So what you want to do is move the sign over and set this to 0. And set this to 0, then factor out a sine of x. And that would give you cosine of x minus 1 equals 0. So now what you have is, for this piece, you get sine of x equals 0. And for this piece, if you add 1 to both sides, you're going to get cosine of x equals 1. So cosine of x equals 1 here at 0. And we don't write 2 pi, because remember, we're only going from 0 to 2 pi. Don't write 2 pi, because 2 pi and 0 are coterminal. Now, whereas sine of x equals 0, and sine of x equals 0 at the same place, 0, and also at pi. So just keep in mind when you see something like this, please move that over, and you'll get the correct answers, all the answers. And I added one more here. This one's going to end up being like sine of x equals 1 divided by sine of x. Now if you cross multiply here, you're going to get sine squared of x equals 1. And if you square root both sides, you get sine of x equals plus or minus 1. The mistake students make is they forget to do the plus and minus here. So where sine of x is plus or minus 1 is here. That's, remember, sine's your y, and here. That's your negative. So you have two solutions. Pi divided by 2 and 3 pi divided by 2. And that's it. Thank you. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.